I've asked this one question to many decision makers all over the world. If there was one thing you'd like to see change that would make your organization more productive, what would it be? And guess what? Everybody came back with one word. And what is that one word? Attitude. If our people had a better attitude, we'd have a better teamwork, quality, bottom line would go up. The most important word in the English language today is the word attitude. Do you agree with that one word? Yes, no?
At least I can use it. So he started a small little shop. Jodaji, today, this man does a turnover of $30 billion. He has 1,000 outlets in the United States. He's worth $6 billion himself, $30 billion turnover, and his store's name is Publix Supermarket. Now, one example. I repeat, whenever unemployment has gone up, self-employment has also gone up. Okay. Second example, there were two brothers, Gallo brothers, in California. They started crushing grapes and started a winery. The depression was so bad, nobody would buy his wine. Eventually, they sold their wine at 50% below market. And what started then? Today, it is considered one of the largest wineries in the United States called the Gallo Wineries, and they are worth almost $10 billion, and they were catering to 25% of the wine market in the US. And the third example I'll share with you was a man by the name of Simplot. He had a small patch of land in Idaho, and he started cultivating potatoes in Idaho. Now, what he couldn't sell, the family ate. But then, how much can you eat? He couldn't eat a whole lot. His potatoes started rotting, and he couldn't afford the loss. He started a crude system of freezer. He started a freezer system. And what he started then, today, he supplies 33% of the United States of French fries. 33%. He's worth $8 billion, $8 to $10 billion. He's called the French fries king, potato king of the United States. Now, folks, I just shared with you some examples. I'm not saying that all of us can do it. All of us will be $10 billion worth. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is that there are people, they had no risk tolerance. They had no money to waste. They played it safe, started moving. They were called the positive entrepreneurs. So they started moving. Now, with that in mind, this is where we need to learn from. And then this crisis is impacting us again three ways. One, physically or medically. Now, I'm not a qualified person. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not qualified to talk about medicine anyway. But I will only talk about one thing on physical part, and that is the hygiene part. I recall when we were little kids, our parents said one thing. They taught us basic hygiene, and our teacher did the same thing. You come from anywhere, wash your hands. You go out, wash your hands. You don't eat food till you wash your hands. You touch currency, wash your hands. You go to the bathroom, you wash your hands. You touch anything, you wash your hands. You know something? These little things, probably we forgot to pass them on to our own kids and to the help that we have in our homes and in our offices. Sadly to say, that is true. We have forgotten to pass on this basic hygiene to them. Now, let us come back to the three things that impact. One is physically, two, economically. Second is economics, tremendous impact that we have. And the third is psychologically, the psychological impact. Now, when we talk of economics, there are some things that could change forever. For instance, you see, there are people working from home. And I was talking to this very senior executive. He said, many of our people are working from home. I said, well, they are working from home, all right. But tell me, are you getting the same output? How do you monitor them? Do you need to monitor them? Or are they all responsible and they're doing a great job? You know what he said? He said, sir, there's the 80-20 rule applies. And the 80-20 rule says 20% people are responsible, independent, they can work without supervision. But 80% people still need supervision. Oops. 80% people still need supervision. Whatever. They've reached, okay. So
Nothing, sir.
okay. So people are sending messages. They want to enter in because you are probably a limit of 100, I guess. Okay. But anyway, my point is that he said 80% people need supervision. I said, how do you monitor? He said, there are some things we can monitor. If it is job work, we can monitor. And if there are piece items, we can monitor. But there are many things we cannot monitor. And he said, probably 80% people do need supervision. How do you work without it? There are so many distractions and people who are not mature. Hear this, people who are not mature, they don't understand that working from home does not mean a paid vacation. I repeat, working from home does not mean it is a paid vacation. And sadly, many people don't understand that. So there is a tremendous impact on the economics. And the third impact that we are talking of is the psychological impact, which is emotional. And this is the most important part, is the emotional part, because this is where people who are emotionally strong, they're able to handle the crisis. They have much stronger relationships. You can trust them. They take mature decisions. And people who are weak emotionally, they break down. They have depressions. They're fighting. They feel lonely. They're bored. And with the result, what is happening? They start fighting within the families. They get on each other's nerves, not realizing what is going on here. This is time to bond and build those emotional ties. And this is where we need to address the most important aspect is, it is our emotional side. Now, with that in mind, let me share with you, how do we cope with the crisis? How do we cope with the crisis? That is crucial. Now, you see, important thing is, I'll share with you about 7, 8, or 10 steps that I feel are very important to cope with the crisis. Number one, the first step that I very strongly recommend is there's something called a Serenity Prayer. About 43 years ago, when I was in US, I heard Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. I sat as a student, there were 1,000 people, and he came in and he looked at 1,000 people and he said, it seems nobody has a problem here. Everybody's sitting cool, calm, and collected here. Nobody has a problem. So he asked, anybody has a problem? So everybody raised their hand. Of course, we all have problems. Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problems? Again, everybody raised their hand. And then he said, well, on my way here to this congregation, I came across a few people. They were lying all stretched out, relaxed. They had no problem at all. How many people would like to know what that place is? So everybody raised their hand. And then Dr. Peale said, just 2 blocks away from here, there's a cemetery. There are people lying there all stretched out, totally relaxed. They have no problem. How many people would like to get rid of the problem? Everybody put their hand in the pocket. Nobody raised their hand. Now, Dr. Peale that day said, he said, problem is a sign of life. So long as we are alive, we will have problems. The day we don't have problems, we'd be dead. And he said, when you are running short of problems, that is the time to get up on your knees and pray to God, send me some problems. Have you stopped trusting me? And that day he said something. He said, we cannot solve all our problems, but we can handle them. I repeat, we cannot solve all our problems, but we can handle them. And then he gave a prayer, which is called the Serenity Prayer, which is probably given by somebody 2,000 years ago. And it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. Folks, the way I see it, this is the crux of life. Let me repeat. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. If we dissect this little prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Now the question is everything within our control in life? Answer is no. There are some things beyond. I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you. If this is the color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. If this is my height, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, sometimes people are born deformed. What wrong did they do? And sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? Now, how did this crisis come? I don't know. Nobody knows. But it is here. So what? Grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. And many times in life, we keep fighting the things we cannot change, and we bring stress into our lives. I repeat, what I cannot change, accept it graciously, not grudgingly. And if I can change, give me the guts to do it, and wisdom to know what I can and what I cannot. Now, when I wrote my book, You Can Win, and the new one that we launched in London was You Can Achieve More, I took this thought one step further, and I wrote in that life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Alokji, life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. See, if I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I've chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? And if I practice unhygienic habits, insanitary conditions, I go out and mingle with people who are unhygienic, I have chosen to invite the virus, haven't I? Now keep in mind one thing. We are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser, we have no more choice. I repeat, we are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser, we have no more choice. And how is life full of compromises? See, folks, as somebody said beautifully, he said, in life, we cannot decide the cards that are dealt to us, but what we can decide is how we play the game. And sometimes nature gives us a lemon. Choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? That's the choice we have to make. Now, you see, many times people from the press, they have asked me that people who are successful, don't they make mistakes? And people who are failures, don't they do something positive? And my answer is that people who are successful, they do make mistakes. And people who are failures, they do positive things in life too. But what makes a person successful or failure? Once in a while, making a mistake does not make a person a failure. Repeating the same mistake again and again is what makes a person a failure. And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. We need to understand it is choice we have to make. So the first factor that I said is the Serenity Prayer. This prayer to me is so powerful. Since the last 44 years, I have never left my house without the prayer. And this has given me tremendous strength. The second way that I recommend is how to cope with the crisis is, the second way is, step 2 is limit your exposure to news every day. I repeat, limit your exposure to news every day. News is so negative. I have noticed there are people who have called me. And by the way, I'm sorry, I was guilty of it myself for the first 1 or 2 days. I'm not here just preaching. I'm guilty. I made that mistake the first 1 or 2 days, but I got out of it. It is so negative. There are people who turn the news on, they watch one channel and the next channel, and then the moment they get up, they want to hear the score. Oh, what happened? New York, London. They're getting scores, and then they change channel, second channel, third channel, fourth channel, as if the score is going to change. And they watch the same news 12 hours from morning till evening, 12 hours, 14 hours a day. And at the end, they are so depressed. And what happens? With depression, your immunity goes down. Your chance of catching virus are much greater. They are so depressed. If you want to watch news, do it only twice a day, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the, stop. That's it. It is totally negative. So one, limit your exposure to the news. Number 2, you see, get your information from reliable sources. Today, there is so much of misinformation running all over. We need to get our information from reliable sources. Okay, that is step 2. Now, step 3, limit your TV time. I repeat, limit your TV time. There was a survey done in the US, which is probably applicable in the Western world or India, anywhere, which said that on an average, an American watches 3 to 4 hours of television every day. 3 to 4 hours of TV per day. Now you look at this. What are we doing? Once a man bought a new TV and a friend of his came over and saw a brand new TV. It was very impressive. So he asked his friend, how much has this TV cost you? So the friend said, it has cost me $1,000. He said, are you sure? He said, yes, it cost me $1,000. He said, how much do you earn a year? He said, $100,000 a year. He said, how many hours do you watch the TV per day? He said, 3 hours a day. He said, 3 hours a day. He said, you make $100,000 per year. Do you know what is your hourly rate on time-wise? It is $50 per hour. That's what you get paid, $50 an hour. And he said, you watch 3 hours per day, multiply 365. That comes to 1,000 hours of TV you watch every day, multiplied $50 an hour. Do you know this TV is not costing you $1,000? It is costing you $50,000 per year. This television costs you $50,000 per year. That is more than EMI on a $500,000 home. Folks, we need to reevaluate what are we doing with our time. I repeat, if in the lockdown period, if we have not reskilled, upskilled ourselves, or if we have not become more knowledgeable, or if we have not become healthier or fitter, it is not because we lack time, because we lack self-discipline and commitment. Step 4. Step 4 is, folks, if you want to build, we have unemployment. Let me just look at some of my things that I was talking about here. Okay. Okay. Now, some people, they say I'm bored. I learned one thing, only boring people are bored. Only boring people are bored. And here's the difference. People say I'm lonely. You know something, folks? There's a big difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the pleasure of being alone. I repeat, loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the pleasure of being alone. That is where we need to understand. And they feel, when I'm bored, I feel depressed. Now, somebody went to a world famous psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Carl Menninger. He was the founder of Menninger Clinic in the US. It's a world famous clinic. So Dr. Menninger was asked, Doc, if you knew for sure that a patient came to you who was going to have an attack of depression, what prescription would you give to that person? They thought he would write a medication. Dr. Menninger said, if I knew that somebody was coming up with an attack of depression, I will tell them, lock your house, get out, look for somebody who's in trouble, go help them, and your depression will go away automatically. Look at this, what a world famous psychiatrist is saying. He said, lock your house, go to the other side of town, look for somebody who's in trouble, help them, and your depression will go away. Folks, we need to get out of that selfish thinking, me. Get out of it. Start thinking beyond. Okay. And step 5, this is time to build positive relationships. I repeat, this is time to build positive relationships. Folks, people who are emotionally strong, during this period, their bonding has become even stronger. They've come closer. And people who are not emotionally strong and they did not have strong relationship, this is time to build them strong. Because if they don't build it, they will fall apart. They will break down later. And folks, relationships are so crucial. I've learned one thing. Yes, money is important. Don't get me wrong. But I've learned one thing, that with a strong relationship, what a person can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. Are you with me? Folks, it is your relationship, your near dear ones, your family and friends, which are your biggest asset. It is not just the bank balance. Don't get me wrong, bank balance is important. We'll come to that. Now, this is family relationships. And 2, not only personal relationships, but professional relationships. Now, here is something one can do to jack up their business. Very strong idea, which I used to do in the US. I was sharing with some business people that go back. I just did a program for the Transport Authority association. And I said, just go back and look at all your people who are buying from you in the last 5 years, who have stopped buying from you. I repeat, just make a list of people who are buying from you in the last 5 years, but they stopped buying from you in the last 1 year. Pick up the phone, call them up, and just tell them that, buddy, we were doing business 3 years ago, and I'm just calling in to find out where did we go wrong. We haven't done any business in the last 3 years. If there's a mistake we have made, please let us know. We would like to apologize and or correct it going into the future. Look, they'll take your call. They're not busy today. They'll receive your call. I have got calls from some people calling me who I had not heard in 8 years. And all of a sudden, I was surprised. I said, buddy, you calling me? He said, yeah, Shiv, I made a mistake. You know, I lost connect with you. I lost touch with you. I just I had no work. I just wanted to call you and find out how you are. I was deeply, and I felt guilty. I said, what happened to me? I mean, there are many people good people I knew, who I lost connect. And that was my loss. The other day, I just got a call from the American Express saying, Mr. Khera, how are you? I said, buddy, I paid my bill. No. I'm not calling for the bill. How are you? Oh, I was surprised. I said, how am I? You just called to find out how am I and your family? He said, yeah. I said, I'm okay. But if I'm not okay, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. But that's not the important thing. The funny part is, I got a call. My first thing was that my last month's payment has gone. It is done. He said, Mr. Khera, I'm not calling regarding the payment. You know something? I have a banker here who's calling senior citizens. Just picking up the phone. They couldn't understand digital banking. And they're saying, are you okay? Is there anything we can do? Because banks are non-essential. He said, we can help you in some form or the other. You can't come out, but we can come to you. And those senior citizens are ecstatic. Never got a call from the bank. This is time to build strong relationships personally and professionally. People say, how can I go professional? Of course, this is the way to do it. And they are not busy people. Normally, they would be busy. Today, they are not. They take your calls. But you know something? People who are positive, they find ways to do the right thing. And people who are negative, they find a problem to every solution. You give them a solution, they'll give you a problem. You give them a solution, they give you a problem. That breed of negative people, you want to get rid of. They have a problem for every solution. Henry Ford said, kick them out. Kick them out. We're not stupid. We understand there are problems. Of course there are problems. But we want somebody who is solution focused. That's all. Okay. Next step. Next step on building, overcoming the crisis. How can we cope with the crisis? Is become proactive. I repeat, Alokji, become proactive. What does that mean? In our program, when we do a leadership program, we ask people, are you a good person? They said, yes, I'm a good person. What makes you good? Well, I don't do bad. I don't tell lies, I don't cheat, I don't steal. That's what makes me good. Not true. Not true. See, if I don't cheat, it only means I'm not a cheat, but that does not make a person good. If I don't tell lies, it only means I'm not a liar, but that does not make a person good. And if I don't steal, it only means I'm not a thief, but that does not make a person good. Go ask a medical doctor. Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Are you with me? Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Similarly, just because I don't do wrong does not make me good. To be good, you have to do good, which is called proactive. Okay. See, I'd like to bring the point here, and that is, I think a lot of our audiences are Indian audiences, it seems that way. But I want to bring in something rather crucial. I was addressing a large gathering of maybe 5,000 to 6,000 people. As I finished, in front of the whole group, a man put a question to me, and he said, Mr. Khera, are you a Gandhian? Are you a Gandhian? Now, I learned one thing. Don't start answering questions till you understand the question. So I said, I want to understand what are the criteria of being a Gandhian. Can you tell me what makes a person a Gandhian? And sometimes the best answer to a question is a question. So I asked him, what makes a Gandhian? So the man said, Gandhi believed in three principles, three pillars. One, Gandhi believed that with love, you can win everybody in this world. That was one. Number two, Gandhi believed in tolerance. Number three, Gandhi believed in nonviolence. Three pillars. He said, these are the three pillars of Gandhi. I don't know what happened. I thought for about 30 seconds. And all of a sudden, before answering to him, I asked him, sir, can you tell me, was Ram a Gandhian? Was Ram a Gandhian? The first principle you said, with love you can win everybody. Was Ram able to win Ravan with love? Was Ram able to win with love? Answer is no. So Ram failed the first test. Number two, you said tolerance is the second test. Did Ram say that you took Sita away, you kidnapped my wife? It's okay, I'm very tolerant. I'll get a second one. You'll take that one, I'll get another one. You'll take that one, I'll get another one. Did he say that? He said, no, I'm not tolerant. I will not tolerate a kidnapper. Are you with me? He said, I will not tolerate a kidnapper. So Ram failed the second test. Third, you said Gandhi believed in nonviolence. Now, what did Ram do? What did Ram do? I said he had to pick up the weapon for self-defense. Now, even if you pick up a weapon for self-defense, it is still violence. Hello? If you pick up a weapon for self-defense, it is still violence. Well, that was self-defense. My point is, then Ram was not a Gandhian. And then, based on the same criteria, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, he was not a Gandhian either. The Mughals wanted to force conversion. He had to pick up the weapon. He didn't tolerate that. And I said, look, I am not a Gandhian. I am not a Gandhian. And why I bring this point up is very important. I have no compassion for people who are enemies of humanity. I repeat, Jodha ji, dhyan se suniyega. I have no compassion for enemies of humanity. Who are the enemies of humanity? There are people who are beating up the doctors. There are people who are spitting on the doctors. There are people who are kicking them. They're killing them. There are people who are spitting on the security forces. I look at them. If you beat up and throw stones at the doctors who are saving your life, they're enemies of humanity. I have no compassion for them. Folks, I want to be very clear. You see, the examples that we take from our mythology, history, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib, anywhere, you see, any magnanimity that leads to self-destruction is not compassion. That is foolishness. I mean, if you don't stand up to protect the dignity of our own families, that is cowardice, in my opinion. And next step. How do we cope up the crisis? One more thing. In fact, this is so important. When we do our leadership program, we cover 5 hours of this, and which is called self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. When we feel good, the world looks nice, productivity goes up, and relationships are a lot better, aren't they? And the reverse is true. And self-esteem is inversely related to egos. Have you seen people with egos like I know it all? What do? They talk down to people, don't they? They put down others, don't they? And every decision they make is more to satisfy ego than to make sense. Think about it. Why does a human being put down another human being? It is sadistic but true. There are some people who feel good when the other person feels bad, which means they don't want to lift themselves up, but they want to pull others down. Now, why do I bring this point of self-esteem? Self-esteem is crucial. People with low self-esteem, they are emotionally weak people. They have many, many problems emotionally. Relationships, stress level, everything goes up. Now, what does self-esteem, what is driven by, or what drives self-esteem, high self-esteem? Folks, high self-esteem, the driver is self-acceptance. साहब ध्यान से सुनिएगा इसको, this is very crucial. The driver to high self-esteem is self-acceptance. Let me clarify what self-acceptance means. It means the following. How I came to this world, I don't know. It's a mystery. I have no idea. But I'm here. But I'm here to stay. And I realize I'm not perfect. I realize I'm not perfect. Now, this does not mean arrogance. That's the way I am. That's the way I'll be. Take it or leave it. This is not it. It says, I am not perfect. I make mistakes. Hear this. I make mistakes. I apologize for my mistakes. I seek forgiveness for my mistakes. I'm not proud of my mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. I will not repeat my mistakes. But I am not a mistake. Alok, are you with me? But I am not a mistake. Means I accept myself the way I am. It doesn't mean I will not improve. It doesn't mean I'm proud of my mistakes. It says I apologize for my mistakes. I seek forgiveness for my mistakes. I'm not proud of my mistakes. I learn from my mistakes. I will not repeat them, but I am not a mistake. I accept myself the way I am. God created me. I am not a mistake. A very clear example of this one was given in the memoir of Charlie Chaplin. Once, Charlie Chaplin was going through Europe, and he saw a big hoarding saying Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. Out of sheer inquisitiveness, he went in, participated, without disclosing his true identity. And guess what? He came number 7. He started thinking, the real one loses, the fake one wins. But he said, I'm the only one here who knows who's the real Charlie Chaplin anyway. Should I tell them? Then he said, why should I tell them? Why should I tell them? Am I here to prove anything to them? I know my identity. Do I have to prove anything to anybody in this world? He said, no. I accept myself the way I am. I accept myself the way I am. I have to prove nothing. This is not arrogance. This is humility, acceptance, high self-esteem. And this is so crucial. In our leadership program, we put 5 hours of time into our self-acceptance. Self-esteem. And the next step is on overcoming how do we overcome the crisis? Folks, upgrade your skills. Upgrade, reskill. How do we do that? I will share with you something. The government of Singapore, they have allocated a few $1 billion for Singaporeans to upskill. They said, this is downtime. When there's uptime, we don't have time to upskill. Now this is downtime. This is time to upskill, because when the crisis is over, we'll be ready to go jumpstart. There will be no lead period. There will be no gestation period left. They're upskilling right now. And they're putting billions of dollars into upskilling Singapore. Now, same thing, how do we upskill? In my book, You Can Achieve More, I've given a survey that 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. I repeat, 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. And they were asked a question. In this one generation, how could you reach such high success? And the answer was, we read books. And they asked, how many books do you read? They said about 50, 60 books a year. Means one book a week. One book a week. And they were asked, what kind of books do you read? And the answer was, we read only self-help books. We don't read fiction. And their question was why? They said, we don't have time to waste. Reading a good book, self-help book, one good idea could be worth a few $1 million. One good idea could be worth a few $1 million. Imagine millionaires and billionaires read one book a week. Now, this shows there is a correlation between learning and earning. Are you with me? Learning and earning, there's a correlation. You learn and you earn. You learn and you earn. There is a correlation. And I've learned one thing. And a serious person who wants to upscale, they never borrow books, they never lend books. I have had people come to me and they say to me, Mr. Khera, I got a great book. Can I lend it to you? I said, no. Give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me. Don't lend it to me because I will not give it back to you. Because I've learned one thing. When I read a good book, I underline, highlight on the side. Because reading a good book once is never good enough. I repeat, reading a good book once is never good enough. And next time when I go, I don't have time to go through the entire book. I go through it and the things that I've highlighted in my own notes here. So tremendous correlation between learning and earning. And folks, one more next step that I want to bring in, especially there's a lot of Indian audience here, is stay away from blind faith leading to superstition. Jodha ji, dhyan se dekhiega. You see, stay away from blind faith, which leads to superstition, because it weakens people. It weakens people. You look at life histories of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they never believed in all these things. See, folks, I was reading an article about a year ago from India Today, and you can check it on the net. And it said that about 80% of childbirths in India and South India are C-section operation. 80%. Why is that? You know why? Some astrologers told them this is the time to get the child out. Astrology. Folks, I have nothing against it. Faith is good. Blind faith is not good. Have you seen many of those preachers who come on the TV and many say, jalebi khai thi, golgappe khaye the aaj. I mean, and just look at, if you read life histories of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they never believed in all these things. They never tallied all these horoscopes. In Sikh families, all weddings are done on a Sunday. They never check the patris. Sunday doesn't suit, they do it Saturday. That Saturday doesn't suit, they do it on a Friday. There are so many things one can look at. Why are we doing this? It weakens people. Stay away from superstition. And next step, second last is, and then I'll close with this one. Folks, in fact, I'll close with this last one. And that is, the only way to cope up with the crisis today is, this is time to give back, especially to the underprivileged. Folks, I'm grateful to God, and I feel that many of us living in Western countries, the countries are taking care of many people. And with God's grace, at least we're living in a home where we don't have problem in day-to-day living today in our daily meals. But there are many people who don't know where the next meal is going to come from. And this is time to give back into society. And many people, I understand in different countries and different communities, individually people come up and they help out a lot. I know that. But one thing I always admire, the Sikh community. Anytime there's a disaster anywhere in the world, they are feeding 250,000 people per day. 250,000 people per day. The whole community, they are a very caring lot. And one, they are very caring people and they are very daring people. Daring means they have the guts to stand up also. There's a lot to be learned from the Sikh gurus. And the time to give back to society reminds me of a story I read of a man by the name of Lafayette in Paris, multimillionaire. He had lots of warehouses with full of grains. Major drought came in Paris, in fact, France. And all his advisory team, the financial guys, said, Mr. Lafayette, this is time. All your warehouses are full of grains and there is a drought. They will pay anything for the grains today. You can jack up the price 10 times. You know what he said? He said, no, no, no. Good times we made money. Good times they also made money. These times are not good. This is time to give back. He said, this is time to open up all the godowns, give it to them free. And he did. You know, here is something I want to bring a point. I was doing a program in Singapore and somebody asked me, Mr. Khera, can you tell me, there are people who have hundreds of millions of dollars. There are people who have billions of dollars. Why do they still keep working? A billionaire doesn't need to work anymore, but he still keeps working to make more money. Why do they do it? Well, I can only think of two reasons. There are two kinds of people. One person is suffering from inferiority complex. That one is making comparison. He's keeping a score. Hey, this guy has 50 million. I got to have 60 million. They have 100 million. I must have 150 million. They have 150 million. I must have 200 million. They have 200 million. I must have 300 million. They are keeping a score. They keep comparisons. And you see, they keep up with the Joneses. How come they have this? I don't have it. How come they have this? I don't have it. How come they have it? I don't have it. How come they have it? You know what are they doing? They are measuring their self-worth by their net worth. Jodaji dhyan se. They are measuring their self-worth by their net worth. They're the ones who are keeping a score. They're like snakes who sit on it, and when to serve society, they will not give a damn thing, nothing. They will only keep a score. That is one breed of people who's got billions, but they want to make more. But there's another breed of people. They have got billion, but they want to make more. You know why? They feel I can help more people. Look at Warren Buffett. The guy had 40 billion, he gave 35 billion. I don't know. Bill Gates had 33 billion, gave 32 billion. I've learned one thing. People who say money is not important, either they're stupid or they're billionaires. Money is very important. But you see, it's not the most important thing. And I've learned one thing, that is, money in good hands always does good. But money in evil hands always does evil. True? Money in good hands does good. Money in evil hands does evil. So I always recommend in my program that good people have a moral obligation to become millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. It's a moral law. Good people should become that way. Because that is where they can do a lot of good to society. Now, with that, I want to just close. I've gone over an hour. But most important thing
I think a few questions, Shivji. Before I will go to thanks, maybe we have 2-3 questions from the audience.
Okay. 3, no more.
Okay. The first question will be from Shailendra, and second question will be from Sanjana ji. So Shailendra ji, I think probably he is ready. Hello, Shailendra.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Mr. Khera, good evening. I'm Shailin from Kuwait. I'm joining from Kuwait.
Yes, sir.
And I know your books, and I know you for long. I'm in the book business, so I have sold many of your copies of also from in Kuwait also.
Grateful, sir.
And first of all, thank you for enlightening us. It was a great session. I have one question that you mentioned about the banker, one story you gave that now the banker is starting with things with a lot of technology and reduce the number of employees. And people are using a lot of technology. We all know, even in our office, we have given technology to our staff members and they are using it. Now a situation will come when after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, when we hope that we are going to be normal. But at that time, the technology will be more important or the people.
Well, let me make one point to you, sir. Technology, in my opinion, can never, ever replace good people. I repeat, technology can never, ever in life replace good people. They can never do it. You see, 100 machines cannot do the job of one extraordinary person. They can do it for ordinary people. They can replicate ordinary work, but extraordinary things cannot be done. Therefore, even today, when there is so much of unemployment all over, people still find hard to find good people to work. Even today, very difficult to find good people to work. And that is true in the West also, in the US, where we are. Now, all I can say is, I was doing a program once, and I said, never in the history of mankind has it been so easy to succeed in life the way it is today. Regardless of your profession, we have no competition. I repeat, regardless of your profession, we have no competition. So one person said, how come we have no competition? And I asked him one question, and I'm asking you people the same question. How many people do you know right now walking off the street who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? Answer is hardly any. Most people don't even want to do what they get paid for. There's a second big category of people who only want to do what they can get by with. And there's a very small fraction of people who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for. And I asked him, if you fall into that small fraction, I don't care what your profession is, tell me where's your competition? See, you can't even find a good attorney today. You can't find a good an accountant today. You can't find a good carpenter. You can't find a good plumber. Question is, are you willing to do a little bit more than what you get paid for? And I'll tell you what, if you look at life histories, Shailendraji, if you look at life histories of people who have succeeded and then they sustained success. Keep in mind, success is one thing, sustaining success is another. They have sustained success and then built goodwill. They all have lived by one principle in life, and that is, I shall always give more than what I get to my family. I shall always give more than what I get to my organization. I shall always give more than what I get to my customer. And I shall always give more than what I get to my country.
Right.
Tell me, this is a mindset.
Thank you.
If you live by this one little principle, tell me, where's the competition? Look, I'm grateful to God and I speak with humility, with gratitude to it. In the last 30 years, we have not made one outbound call for corporate business. 30 years. And my qualifications, there are many more qualified people than me. I'm a BCom third division failed in my 10th. That's my academics. I repeat, I'm a BCom third division failed in my 10th. I repeated my class twice on the 10th. There are many more qualified people than this. But why do our clients hire us?
Shivji, because you repeated your 10th class
commitment
twice.
It's never 100%, it's always 200%. That's it. Sir.
I think you repeated your 10th class twice. That's why I can see your foundation is very strong. And our foundations are so shaky now. Our next question is from Moin. Moin, are you ready to ask the question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. My question is that in this crisis and lockdown, I need to plan and prepare so many things. But the problem that I always face that I have a problem in planning and implementation. I do plan, but many times I'm not able to execute my plan. So I would like to know as to how to execute my plan that I'm planning to overcome this situation.
In fact, Moin, you're not alone. In fact, I have failed many times myself in execution. But you find one thing, there are many, many organizations do great strategic planning, but they fail in implementation. And if this one sentence, if you can hold on to this and live by it, I think it'll answer. And I've learned that from myself, from my mistakes. A average plan, well implemented, is much better than a great plan poorly implemented. I repeat, a average plan well implemented is a lot better than a great plan poorly implemented. And I have learned that by making mistakes. You see, I'm not here just preaching. I haven't read those books. But bottom line is, I've created 3 businesses myself. I sold my companies. But the important thing is that, look, making a mistake is not the end of the world. If you know somebody who's never made any mistake in life, then you know somebody who's never done anything anyway. Making a mistake is not the end of the world, but realizing and repeating the same mistake is the end of the world. Are you with me? That is the end of the world. So keep in mind, since you understand what you need to do, go back. I mean, that's what we our 3-4 day leadership program that we do. We start evaluating, walk away with an action plan and implement.
Yep.
Thank you. And the next question is from Shah Faiz Hussain. He's from Kashmir. He's a student, and he spoke to
earlier also.
Yeah.
Mr. Shiv.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes,
Shiv.
sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a question for you. You always talk of leadership, and in your books, you have always mentioned leadership qualities and accepting responsibilities. You have mentioned in character. It's one of the leadership qualities. So my question to you would be, can we call a leader a savior of a society, of a community, of a country? If we have a good leader, can we call him a savior?
I would say absolutely one can. Reason is, you go check out anywhere in the world. Masses have never created history. They have followed. Don't have consensus, they create consensus. Why do people say he is a visionary leader? Why do people say that? You know what is the meaning of this word? It means he can see what others cannot see. I repeat, he can see what others cannot see. That is what is called visionary leader. So yes, important thing is that good leadership really is what brings a change. They are the ones who drive change. And I think that's where we need good leadership everywhere today.
Thank you, sir. So you mean we can call a leader definitely we can call a leader savior of a country?
I would say so. I would say so. A good leader is considered savior. There are so many leaders who are not good. Now, you see, you don't call Hitler as a good leader. He was a leader, of course. He was an effective leader. Hitler was a very effective leader, but you don't call him a good leader. Why? You see, effectiveness means he got his followers to take action. And keep one thing in mind, but goodness has to do something with morality. And remember one thing, good leaders always create new leaders. Bad leaders look to create followers. You know why? They're so insecure. I repeat, good leaders look to create more leaders. Bad leaders look to create followers. You know why? They're insecure. He learns what happens to me. They're insecure. That's the whole thing. They don't want to lift themselves up, but they want to pull others down. That's the sad part.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very much, sir.
Shivji. It was really amazing to listen to you. And there's an old